Shut up and sit down.
Hello Internet surfers and welcome to the Effing News, bringing you the best articles of Internet the media on YouTube won't dare to report. On this segment, the headline of the Saker says, "The Neocons and the Deep State have neutered the Trump presidency. It's over, folks. Updated 2 times." Less than a month ago, I warned that a color revolution was taking place in the USA. My first element of proof was the so-called investigation which the CIA, FBI, NSA and others were conducting against President Trump's candidate to become National Security Advisor General Flynn. Tonight, the plot to get rid of Flynn was finally succeeded and General Flynn had to offer his resignation. Trump accepted it. Now, let's immediately get one thing out of the way. Flynn was hardly a saint or a perfect wise man who would single-handedly save the world. That he was not. However, what Flynn was is the cornerstone of Trump's national security policy. For one thing, Flynn dared the unthinkable. He dared to declare that the bloated US intelligence community had to be reformed. Flynn also tried to subordinate the CIA and the Joint Chiefs to the President via the National Security Council. Put differently, Flynn tried to wrestle the ultimate power and authority from the CIA and the Pentagon and subordinate them back to the White House. Flynn also wanted to work with Russia, not because he was a Russian lover. The notion of a director of the DIA as a Putin fan is ridiculous. But Flynn was rational. He understood that Russia was no threat to the USA or to Europe, and that Russia and the West had common interests. That is another absolutely unforgivable crime thing in Washington, D.C. The neocon-run Deep State has now forced Flynn to resign under the idiotic pretext that he had a telephone conversation, an open, insecure and clearly monitored line with the Russian ambassador, and Trump accepted his resignation. Ever since Trump made it to the White House, he has taken blow after blow from the neocon-run Zio media, from Congress, from all the Hollywood double-plus good-thinking stars, and even from European politicians. And Trump took each blow without ever fighting back. Nowhere was his famous "you are fired" to be seen. But I still had hope. I wanted to hope. I felt that it was my duty to hope. But now Trump has betrayed us all. Remember how Obama showed his true face when he hypocritically denounced his friend and pastor Reverend Jeremiah Wright Jr.? Today, Trump has shown us his true face. Instead of refusing Flynn's resignation, and instead of firing those who dare to cook up these ridiculous accusations against Flynn, Trump accepted the resignation. This is not only an act of abject cowardice, it is also an amazingly stupid and self-defeating betrayal, because now Trump will be alone. Completely alone, facing the likes of Mattis and Pence, hardcore warrior types, ideological to the core, folks who want war and simply don't care about reality. Again, Flynn was not my hero, but he was, by all accounts, Trump's hero, and Trump betrayed him. The consequences of this will be immense. For one thing, Trump is now clearly broken. It took the Deep State only weeks to castrate Trump and to make him bow to the powers that be. Those who would have stood behind Trump will now feel that he will not stand behind them, and they will all move back away from him. The neocons will feel elated by the elimination of their worst enemy, and emboldened by this victory they will push on, doubling down over and over and over again. It's over, folks. The Deep State has won. From now on, Trump will become the proverbial Shabbos Goy, the errand boy of the Israeli lobby. Hassan Nasrallah was right when he called him an idiot. The Chinese and Iranian will openly laugh. The Russians won't. They will be polite, they will smile, and try to see if some common-sense policies can still be salvaged from this disaster. Some might, but any dream of a partnership between Russia and the United States has died tonight. The EU leaders will, of course, celebrate. Trump was nowhere the scary boogeyman they feared. Turns out that he is a doormat, very good for the EU. Where does all this leave us? The millions of anonymous deplorables who try as best as we can to resist imperialism, war, violence and injustice. I think that we were right in our hopes because that is all we had, hopes. No expectations, just hopes. But now we objectively have very little reasons left to hope. For one thing, the Washington's swamp will not be drained. If anything, the swamp has triumphed. We can only find some degree of solace in two undeniable facts. 1. Hillary would have been far worse than any version of a Trump presidency. 2. In order to defeat Trump, the US deep state has had to terribly weaken the US and the Anglo-Zionist empire. Just like Erdogan purges have left the Turkish military in shambles, the anti-Trump color revolution has inflicted terrible damage on the reputation, authority, and even credibility of the USA. The first one is obvious, so let me clarify the second one. In their hate-filled rage against Trump and the American people, aka the basket of deplorables, the neocons have had to show their true face. By their rejection of the outcome of the elections, by their riots, their demonization of Trump, the neocons have shown two crucial things. First, that the US democracy is a sad joke and that they, the neocons, are an occupation regime which rules against the will of the American people. In other words, just like Israel, the USA has no legitimacy left. And since, just like Israel, the USA are unable to frighten their enemies, they are basically left with nothing. No legitimacy, no ability to coerce. So yes, the neocons have won, but their victory removes the last chance for the US to avoid a collapse. Trump, for all his faults, did favor the US as a country over the global empire. Trump was also acutely aware that more of the same was not an option. He wanted policies commensurate with the actual capabilities of the USA. With Flynn gone and the neocons back in full control, this is over. Now we are going to be right back to ideology over reality. Trump probably could have made America, well, maybe not great again, but at least stronger. A major world power which could negotiate and use its leverage to get the best deal possible from the others. That's over now. With Trump broken, Russia and China will go right back to their pre-Trump stance. A firm resistance backed by a willingness and capability to confront and defeat the USA at any level. I am quite sure that nobody today is celebrating in the Kremlin. Putin, Lavrov, and the others surely understand exactly what happened. It is as if Khodorkovsky would have succeeded in breaking Putin in 2003. In fact, I have to credit Russian analysts who, for several weeks already, have been comparing Trump to Yanukovych, who also was elected by a majority of the people and who failed to show the result needed to stop the color revolution started against him. But if Trump is the new Yanukovych, will the US become the next Ukraine? Flynn was very much the cornerstone of the hoped-for Trump foreign policy. There was a real chance that he would rein in the huge, bloated and all-powerful three-letter agencies and that he would focus US power against the real enemy of the West, the Wahhabis. With Flynn gone, this entire conceptual edifice has now come down. We are going to be left with the likes of Mattis and his anti-Iranian statements, clowns who only impress other clowns. Today, neocon victory is a huge event and it will probably be completely misrepresented by the official media. Ironically, Trump supporters will also try to minimize it all, but the reality is that barring a most unlikely last-minute miracle, it's over for Trump and the hopes of millions of people in the USA and the rest of the world who had hoped that the neocon could be booted out of power by means of a peaceful election. That is clearly not going to happen. I see very dark clouds on the horizon. Update 1. Just to stress an important point, the disaster is not so much that Flynn is out, but what Trump's caving into the neocon tells us about Trump's character, or lack thereof. Ask yourself, after what happened to Flynn, would you stick your neck out for Trump? Update 2. Just as predicted, the neocons are celebrating and, of course, doubling down. That was the article, guys, and this photo tells us 1,000 words. Flynn is gone, not the controversy, which means the war against Trump presidency will continue. Down left, suspicions over ties with Russia threaten to bog down the Trump administration. GOP senator, exhaustive probe of Trump-Russia ties needed. The other circle, Graham, I'm focused on what Russia did to undercut democracy, meaning war with Russia. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video informative, share it and subscribe, or ideally both. This is Two Shots for the Effing News, where integrity and facts matter. Take care and see you next time.